Hello, this is Jan Smith, and I am here this morning to do the phase 2 of bread making from sourdough. So, wanted to just show you some things that I've got here on the counter that I've already got prepared. We have a 1/4 cup of sugar, and so you have your 1/4 cup sugar, the flour here, and then you have a large bowl that you're going to use to actually make your bread in. And then scooting over, we've got our sourdough, salt. I've already got a 1.5 cups of warm water. And then we have the oil that we're going to be adding. So you can use any type of oil, but those are the ingredients that we're doing. So first, we have our 1.5 cups of warm water. It needs to be warm enough to sort of start the melting of the salt that you're going to add. And believe it or not, it actually makes a difference. I've made it without salt before, and a tablespoon of salt makes a huge difference in the flavor of your bread. So don't forget to add your salt. You drop that in. And I usually go ahead and add the 1/4 cup of sugar to it before I add anything else. So here you have a 1/4 cup of sugar, and we're going to pour that into your mix. I use a wooden spoon to stir, and until that's kind of partially dissolved. And then I'm going to add my starter. I like to stir it before I add it so that you get a mixture of ingredients that you're working with there. So you're going to stir your starter, and then you're going to pour 1 cup of starter. Usually you will lay it, put it on the counter so that you have an even measure, but it's 1 cup of starter. Whoops, that's leaning over. You want to set it flat on the counter and look. Yep, that's a little bit too much. Flat on the counter to measure, a liquid ingredient measuring. So anyway, now you have the 1 cup, if I can hold it level for you, and you pour that into your mixture, and you're going to do the same thing with 1/2 cup oil. So here you pour in your 1/2 cup oil. Again, I stir those ingredients to get those liquids combined. So we have a 1/4 cup sugar, 1 cup of mix, 1/2 cup of oil, 1 tablespoon salt, and 1.5 cup warm water. And then the next thing that you do is add your flour. I usually add 3 cups at a time. Put that over here and then stir in between. I find that works just fine. You dip into your flour and you'll see it kind of has a mound. I just use my finger to rake across the top. You can use a flat edge knife. That's technically what they say. I dump that in and I do that 3 times. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't have to be exact, but you do want it to then stir that in. It's too hard to stir it in all at once, I have found. You can try it and see what you think. But over the years of making bread, I just kind of like to get this stirred in and some of the lumps worked out. And then add the other 3 cups. So the thing to remember is that each one of these phases, you're going to have, 6 to 10 hours in there, depending on the weather and what it looks like and what your timing is. I've done it at midnight before and gotten up. Usually I like to try to have 8 hours in between the steps of feeding the starter and then actually making up the bread dough like what we're doing now to the next day or the next night, when 8 hours later, mixing up. So the actual dough. So here we have, I've dumped in 3 more cups, and you can watch how it stirs in. I'm really proud of you for learning to make bread. My mother-in-law, Roger's mother, she's the one who started making bread, and she did it as a teenager in 4-H in the bread making competition. I'm gonna have to let go and then I'll show you the end here. And my mom died when I was 18, and she's the one that actually taught me how to do the bread. Sorry, I know you can't see very well here. Sorry. I got to hold on to it, so. Let me stir this up. If I stop it, you won't get to see the end. So anyway, when I was a young bride in my early 20s, Miss Smith made homemade cinnamon rolls, which this makes beautiful cinnamon rolls as well. And you see it gets stiffer and stiffer in the pan. It's gonna kind of look like that. And then I'm gonna put it, if I had somebody else here holding, then you would be able to see this whole process. But anyway, well, right now, this is what we're gonna do. I get it off. So when it looks like that, then I stop and I open the flour and I just sprinkle some over the top. And then I'm gonna work, I'm just gonna kind of fold it over until, just gently folding it. So, and then I'm gonna add a little more flour. Just sprinkle it lightly over it. Kind of pat it to make it go in all the crevices. That made it a little bit too much flour. So you're working it, but just very gently, very lightly working that dough until it forms a smooth lump. Just very lightly kind of folding it over. And you kind of pat it until you have, a lump of bread dough. So then I'm gonna leave it like that, and I'm gonna put a cloth over it and let it set until this evening. And then I'm gonna make it into 3 loaves of bread and put them in the loaf pans, and we'll bake it again 8 hours later. So this is Jan Smith helping you know how to manage your sourdough starter and to make bread. Thanks, bye.